All right, my G's. So today I want to give you some mixdown advice, and I've got a little story I'd like to read you first. So I like this analogy of finding a sweet spot in your mixdown is a little bit like making perfume. All right. So we're going to be talking about the kick and bass relationship today, how it affects the rest of the track, and especially the sidechain of the kick and the bass, and how that affects the rest of the track as well. So if you think of your kick and bass, like the two of the most powerful scents in sort of the components of a perfume. So, for example, musk and citrus. Okay, they're bold, foundational. They set the tone of the whole fragrance, just like your low end energy sets the energy. Sorry, just like your low end sets the energy and groove of a track. Okay. Now, when a perfumer creates a fragrance, they start by pairing key ingredients in isolation. Right. So when you're soloing just your kick and your bass, that's sort of how you're preparing everything, They'll test how much the musk blends with the citrus on a strip, adjusting the ratios, tweaking the concentrations like we'll do with our sidechain compressor. This is like, soloing your kick and bass, dialing in the EQ, sidechain timing, all that kind of stuff. But here's the twist, okay? A perfume doesn't exist in isolation. It lives in the air among all the other notes. So once the florals, the woody tones, the top notes and the fixatives are added, the full perfume, then the whole balance actually shifts, okay? So maybe the citrus that felt bright and crisp now dominates and makes the whole fragrance sharp. Maybe the musk gets buried, leaving the scent without its intended warmth or weight. So the perfumer then has to rebalance, not based on how any one pair smells alone, but based on how the whole perfume fits together, how it all feels together. So it's an emotional and technical process balancing presence, texture, contrast and flow. And this is exactly what you do in a mixdown. So your kick and bass might sound perfect soloed, tight, punchy, full, but when you bring the rest of the track in, the leads, pads, vocals, atmosphere, percussions, all that kind of stuff, the energy changes again, and suddenly the perfect sidechain pump that you created can feel like too aggressive, or maybe the bass now eats into too much space of the atmosphere, or something like, the whole balance will shift. So you've got to step back and ask, does the low end still serve the full track, So, and like a perfumer that makes tiny changes, a pinch more citrus or a little less musk, you tweak your sidechain compression of your kick and bass, all the kind of levels that you're setting up in the full context of the mix. That because that's where the real mix lives, not in isolation between two elements, but in how everything combines in one immersive experience. Okay, so soloing, like we're just about to do in a second, is useful for sculpting, but the final decisions must always be made in context. Just like a perfume only reveals its truth when all the notes are blended. So here's just a little loop, and there's not too much going on in this track. It's quite a minimal thing, right? But here we've got our kick in our bass. So if you want to go ahead and sort of sidechain these in solo first, so we can do it in isolation first. So just going to create a nice simple sort of multi-band compression. Just cutting out some of the bass to let the kick come through. And we'll just sort of tweak it around a bit and find a nice balance in isolation first, Play with the threshold and the sort of frequency area. Okay, maybe I sort of like that. And so that's as if I've done, this is my two key ingredients for the perfume, the musk and the citrus on the strip, But now I'm adding in all the woody notes and all the floral parts and the fixatives and everything. And I'm listening now in the whole track. And now I've got to think about how that balance I made in isolation is actually working in the whole mixdown, So you can't ever just do only the sidechain like in isolation and then think it's going to be perfect, because it's never going to be the same, because the whole balance, the whole energy of the track is different now, because we've got all of the other elements in, so now we can have a little adjust again in the whole mix. I actually decided to sort of wanted to sidechain a bit heavier now in the whole mix. It just kind of like, because I've got all these other elements like these sort of percussion, scissor sound effects and stuff like that, and I kind of wanted them to have a bit more space, and actually sidechaining the bass a bit heavier kind of opened up a little bit more headroom in the whole track. Yeah, just in that moment as I was sort of mixing there. Let's do it over here as well. Let's do it on this part of the tune here and have a little tweak. Still like that sort of position around there. Yeah, slightly bit of more side chaining in the end. Yeah, but now I'm really feeling that relationship in the context of everything, you know, and that's really the key takeaway from this video. It's a short little mix down piece of advice I wanted to give you, but it's necessary to mention this advice because I have seen from first-hand experience of teaching students that often, you know, we'll solo things in isolation, and we'll get the mix right, you know, just between two elements, but then it's almost assumed that's now done. That's not the case. It's never just done once you sidechain just the two elements. You have to always reference in the whole mix, you know. It's very basic mixing advice. You know, mixing engineers from years ago would tell you the same thing, but it's just something that isn't still done sometimes, you know. And so there's loads of like old mixing advices and rules and things that aren't always applicable, you know, and that don't need to be followed. But for me, this is like a gold standard kind of rule, which is that, just to say simply, if you do tweak like the mix relationship just between two sounds in isolation, you have to also understand how it's affecting the mix as a whole. So it's very simple. Just always make sure you reference all of your main key important major decisions in your track in how it affects the whole perfume, the whole energy of the whole tune, you know. So make sure you don't forget to do that when you're doing it, when you're mixing things, and yeah, you're gonna find a better overall balance for your tune that way. So just a little cheeky little mix down tip today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. Leave a comment down below. Check out the links as well. I've got a Patreon with some great free sort of sample drops and preset drops and all kinds of stuff over there. We've got a great Discord as well, so come and join us in there. If you guys ever want lessons as well, I do one-on-one production lessons. Book in via the links down below. My calendar is there. If you want mixing and mastering services, send me an email. And if you'd like any presets for Serum, Vital, Phase Plant or Current, check out my website, and there's loads of great packs on there. All right, that's it from me today. More from me very soon. Much love.